Hey guys, it's Quinn here, and we're reading a part two of reading Hobbs' Bearstone. So that's where we left off. That's a long story. I've been keeping horses for years, thinking I was going to get back up there and repent a mine I got into the high country. You like mining? A big smile on the old man's face? You bet I do. What do you like about it? Live gold, I suppose? Sounds crazy. But the price of gold yesterday was $456 an ounce. When I was mining, gold was around $42 and make a difference, don't it? How come you quit if you liked it? I got married. Clyde, my life made me promise to give it up. The old man lowered his voice. She was scared to death of mines, thinking they're carving in all the time. But she was never understood when the pride of the West came in. Never. I used to tell her it was safer in this house for not stick of time work in the whole mine. It's hard rock a mine if there was one. But now back to the horses. How'd you like them over? We would take a feed bag and halter up the pasture. You could pick one out and go and do some irrigating later, but you could. Cloyd shook his head. What about my job? We can line about that tomorrow. I want to see what you think of these horses. These three had a feed bag and a halter. They found the horses in a shade of big pines above the river upstream. There were 10 of them. They'll be pretty skittish, Walter said. Haven't been rode. Chloe knew immediately which one we wanted. The blue roan, a big whale, muscle gelding. White hair intermingled with gray underneath gave a round blue tinkle all over. He wanted to call the horse to him, but he felt embarrassed having an old man to see him. But what if the horse wouldn't come? He had to try. Hey, Clyde called softly. Hey, while the others shied away. Big roan came into him and shortened audibly, its head high in one side, and nostrils flared at its cup a scent on one side. Clyde let the horse almost finish the grain. Nice, Walter said, very nice. Sorry. You made that look easily. I'm part of that sorrow made yonder. Got it. Real easy gait. They whipped the two horses back into the barn. Cloyd admired the roan's lines. The way it carried itself at the very moment seemed about the ball. Yet never did. The horse wasn't giving up the freedom. He thought we'd choose each other. First, we curried the houses, and Walter showed him all about the whole little inside of the horse. The old man talked about it so made it easy to understand. This made him spar on. See how he puffs a gut so he won't catch him, right? Catch him tight. And then he saddle falls out later and you will with it. Cloyd laughed. Better not let him hear you. He thinks he fooled us, Walter whispered. He turned away as he was done, then winked and quickly checked in a few more notches. I wasn't born yesterday, he said. Outside. Walter coached him on how amount of it. Big groan. Confidence is the main thing. He's going to be skittish. Been too long since he had a man with his back. One quiet move and don't quit halfway. Let him feel your confidence. As excited he was, Cloyd called himself. He tried to talk the big groan with his heart, and you and me, Blue Horse. He thought you were the most beautiful horse I ever seen. I bet you can run fast. We'll be friends, you and me. In one motion, much of a way, when he rode the bareback, he swung up to the saddle, the big right down, Chloe patted him in the neck. We'll all be. Walter chuckled. He really took a shine onto you. The horse never gave me the time of the day. Does he have a name? No, never got around it. None of them do. They rode up the river trail through the big pines around the rapids. They followed the river for many miles until the trail left it climb more than 1,000 feet. The horse was sure-footed and enjoyed the work. But Cloyd was thrilled with the feel of the horse. He likes riding with the old man. He liked the wind in the trees and gray jays and way he hadn't felt in a long time. Finally caught a glimpse in the river again. All white and George so deep and narrow it stirred his heart in being awake thousands of nights with dark wolves where Flinny and Jack was so unlike his new Santas. Cloyd remembered the snowy peaks he'd seen towering over the mountains. This George, this gorge, he realized I was only a beginner of a higher country. He took a blue stone from his pocket and turned it slowly to his hand. Someday he vowed he spoke with peace up close. He would see the home of the Utees. The sun was dropping fast. He had to turn around and he had to head back to the farm. He did a lot of thinking. On the way, he would work hard for the old man, the harder than the old man could ever have dreamed. Then he would ask the old man to take him to the mountains. Blue Boy, he whispered the name of the horse. That Blue Boy is the name of the horse. You and me, Blue, will go to the mountains. Blue Boy and Moon Bear. It was dusk. They were back to the river, but not as far as the farm. Blue Boy reared, and then Kool-Aid saw a black head whoop across the trail. The unusual gait, followed by another small black shape. A bear, he said with a full amazement. A bear with a cub, isn't it? Black Bear, Walter said. Sure enough, I never seen one before. There aren't many bears back home. Something else, ain't they? They live here. Sure enough, but you don't see them that as often. Born to the wild. Chapter 6. Cloyd woke up with a feeling good all over. As he yawned and stretched himself awake, he remembered his fleeting glimpse of a bear in a cub. What an amazing sight they were. He thought he had how lucky he'd been seeing them, or was it luck? He took the Bearstone under her pillow and turned it into his fingers. Lone Bear, he thought, that's the name I gave myself. They things were too wonderful to be accidents. His grandmother would understand. He recalled the feel of the powerful roan under him. As he heard the music, old man's chuckle. He felt good. He felt strong. Now he wanted to prove himself. What's that job we're going to tell me about? Clyde asked at breakfast. Well, I need your help coming the haytime, bucking bales and putting up the hay. Of course, that won't be until July. But I do have a project you could make it start on for me. But I've been putting off a couple of years now. I need to build a fence. I'm so busy irrigating the field, haying, fixing tractors and whatnot. I can seem to get around with it. Show me about the fence. I can do that. After breakfast, Clyde followed Walter to a shed where Walter was picked out the hostile digger. In a long steel bar, Clyde grabbed the bar, and it was 6 feet long and heavy. He thought he could carry it better, and the only man could. He walked through the lawyer to the peach orchard, Walter's property line beyond it. Walter set his tools down at a riverbank and led Clyde along his line, short and withered stakes, one for each post hole, had to be dug all the way across the end of the field further to the distant ditch bank. At the base of the mountain, they walked back to the starting point. What's this fence for? Clyde asked. Walter's face went red suddenly as he looked away. Clyde watched him closely. Well, Clyde, I need the fence off of yellow that's been taking advantage for me. Then follow his highway. He moves it in from California. A few years ago, bought himself a farm. Starts going broke because he's no kind of farmer. He won't listen to you if you try to help him. So he gets the idea he'll send it up. It's a hot big Dane guide. The old man ran short of a breath. Sputtered, Dean stood up to his forehead. He advertises in the big city newspaper in Texas. Like he's an outfitter, which he's in license for this, for when he drives his hunters across my place in their four-wheel drives, tearing up the field so bad for you can hate for ruts. I only drive the field myself when it's bone drive, and they park their trucks in a horse tailors right in a head gate where the trailer takes out. He tells him, I live in a county where the public assess the sheriff and game warden. They warn his fellow, but come fall he'll try it again. The sheriff says, when I really need is a fence to go with my gate. I guess he's right. Walter's color returned, his breath came easier. You see, Clyde, I got but only assessed a big piece of country up to pier to here. There's no government trailhead anywhere near. So to get up the river and public land, folks have always came up through my place. I don't mind if they ask beforehand. Park down rather in walk and ride though, but this doesn't know the meaning of a courtesy. He's only out for himself. Cloyd has watched the interest as Walter's anger rose. He could picture the neighbor out of his islet hunters and finding a new fence and locked the gate. The man will get out of his truck, walked around the fence line. He see that there's no way around it. There will be a turnaround. The water would have won. Walter, of course, it's a 2-year project anyway. Walter said, but we can make a start. I couldn't fish this fence. Cloyd insisted. I don't think so. There's a waterwork in the fence like that. First off, it's a river bottom. You run into rocks sometimes that go to the hole deposit. You have to break a rock with that bar pole. Yeah, to those pieces, then there's a lot of pasta to walk out of the woods, right or run. There's a lot of work in it. So be able to help me if it gets some of the holes dug. Walter dug the first hole, and Clyde started. No rocks in this he said, walked out. Clyde took a post hole digger for the old man say. Walter said, why didn't you hold us fetch fair the gloves for you and jug of ice water and a cap too? I always wear one I'm standing in the sun irrigating. I never wear that hat. There's probably won't be much cloud until the later of the month. Usually don't start raining on 4th of July. Clay shook his head. I don't like hats. Suit yourself. Walter answered cheerfully. Will a bear with the water into the field? The grass is gonna burn up. Clay let the old man disappear through the orchard and start digging with all the strength and determination. If he was going to get finished, he better get started. He could tell Walter already forgotten he was going to break down some clothes. He didn't matter. He didn't like to use gloves. The June days in Clyde's line of complete households advanced steadily, and his blisters healed. His hands grew close to the white stubble on the old man's face. It went into the white and the lice whiskers. He said he was having to work. He had never grown a beard in his whole life. Now he was going to. Clyde liked the way it made him look like an old miner. He would look perfect. Clyde thought it would take it over his shoulder and winning a donkey. Even though he didn't work the water, but during the day, Clyde wasn't lonely. His mind was brimful as thinking. He was worrying of rhythm and postal digger. He thought about Blue Boy and where he would ride that evening. If he would see another bear, the mountains he thought about too all the time. He made a promise to himself and mentioned his plan out of water till he had a fence finished. Until he proved himself, he earned the mountains. Ever so often, a beetle, a postal digger, would strike a rock, and then Clyde would start a battle, and he would try to dig another hole, but he often struck the same rock, and there was no choice but to break with his bar. He would slam the bar down with all his might. He would kick fears satisfaction and break game rock. He was knows carried of the water in the field, though to his surprise how hard he could work, how many holes and he had to dug. Clyde had never worked his hard before. He was surprising himself. This early afternoon, Walter would ring his porch bell. He would eat a big meal. He would go out to the hotels and work until Walter was called in for supper. In the evenings, Clyde would hurry to the saddle up a road and take him for a ride. Blue Boy could run like anything, but the horse liked him and he knew it. Clyde felt good streaming along the river road in the wind of the hair. He talked to the horse all the time. The horse was only knew secret, and his name was Secret Plans. But late in the evenings, Walter would eat his mining in the high country. Tell me about the mountains up real high, he said, like where your mine is. Walter would stroke his whiskers. There's nothing like it. My beautiful country is there much water? Oh, there's water everywhere, like Tickle's Run and mining off snowflakes. Ponds, lakes, creeks, streams, like walking on a sponge. It's green as it can be. How high ever tops the mountains? Punch holes in the sky. Can you climb on the top? If you got wings, what happens to the animals when winter comes? Freeze sawed, said the old man. With this hung at his cheek, wouldn't you? It was a good time talking to the mountains in the parlor, with sending his journals aside. The tiredness would leave his eyes, and Farley would come over and spoke. Well, he liked to see his grouch through his wickers. He liked this old man, Walter Landis. Chapter 7. Days were stretching. Weeks passed with no cloud over it all. Chloe kept working in the shade of a nearby timer, begged Bond, but he resisted. He was getting time closer all the time, digging the last pull hole. In the evenings, he'd make the looks, and at the counter, he kept trying to guess how long it would take him to the fence. By build defense, by day, he was realizing it was a such bigger project than he would thought at first. Just as the old man, he said, Sundays were something to look forward to, but only breaking his routine, going into Durango for grocery supplies. Chloe would spend the day with the Blue Boy. At breakfast, Walter was all dressed up in Midtown working on the shop list. It was a number Sunday, but Chloe wasn't feeling very good about it. He woke up feeling bad and didn't know why. He only knew he wasn't very happy. He hardly spoke over breakfast. He talked between them, and he was trying by little. There was only the work. He knew Walter would tell he was feeling bad. The old man was a long time buttering some toast. At last he said, trying to sound cheerful, gonna take Blue Belly out today, Cloyd. Cloyd shrugged. I sure hope so, say. I've been wondering if you might, like, the fence line, maybe you should do a little this and that. Some more time with the horse. I don't want to, Cloyd said stubbornly. Walter waited for Durango. Cloyd knew he didn't want to ride Blue Boy. He didn't feel good enough. There was a little flame that angered him. He was starting to grow. The old man was saying he should give up. Walter didn't really expect him. Walter heard at his school. I knew he felt everything. Now Walter was expecting him to feel her too. Well, there was all wrong about him. Wrong about him to say he was lazy. He wanted to show the old man he shuttered the hostile digger and dragged the bar along. He didn't have many holes, and he got to. He wanted to get the post ground before Walter needed his help with the hay. That night he would leave only stringing the wire. Concentrating on his welding, Walter was startled to notice that Cloyd was standing behind him, removing his mask. Walter switched out the arc welder. How's it going, Cloyd? He asked cheerfully. I finished those holes. Walter beamed. Well, Cloyd, that's downright amazing. What it is. I've never seen that like. We should finish the fence so you'll have it before hunting season. I sure like to see it finished, too. Clearly there's a lot of work left in it, pulling jumpers for posts and whatnot. I can start cutting the posts tomorrow. The only cost his eyes on the ground removed his cap, raining his hand. Where am I at? Slowly over top of his head and back, Lacey said finally, unless she would let me cut the post. After we get the hay in and it gets in raining, we don't have to irrigate so much. I'll take out some junipers on the hill, clean them up so I can set them. We'll string the wire together. You don't think I can do this job? It's a chain that's all I'm worried about. They're dangerous. Quite useful. I used one for years, and I'm still scared of it. You see, sometimes a tree in mind of its own. And there's plenty of ways you can make a mistake. Have you ever hand in one? You can show me, Clyde insisted. Walter saw how much it meant. The last he had to say, Clyde, I believe you. Just had anything you set your mind to. Clyde thought you walked through the field through the glowing away nights in the barn. He took the Bearstone and turned it into the fingers, held against his cheek. There was just enough evening for left for him to visit the road. Hey ya, he called. The horse nickered back. Verone was waiting for his pastured gait. Chloe showed him little grain, and he curried him thinking about his while. You and me, Blue, we're gonna go to the mountains. I'm gonna finish everything, and we can go to the mountains. You and me in the morning. Walter poked up around the machine. Sean collected. They saw a pin engine and the empty gas can leather bag. He told Cloyd about the saw. It seemed to Cloyd take forever, 2-3 times. Water caution, Mix it said. Cloyd didn't engine oil the gas, strat gauge, ruin or waiter. Cloyd didn't ask questions. Walter said if he understood. Walter knew the Udis were biggest talkers. Occasional contact with them taught him to take things when Cloyd was pointing with his lips only. Motiza did that anymore, something about his being rude with his hand and his finger. But the old time, Duty's Chloe looked away, talked to him when he was spoken to, yet for the whole time he spent together, Chloe no longer, but to understand Chloe better evenings. About the mountains, he would act bone weary for working too hard. Chloe would fall asleep and at watching television. He fell to tiring too, even questioning the need to sit in the farm. Back to the rides, he was back to the old routines again, standing in the hot sun all day long and tediously moving dirt and rooting water, and Chloe was working spendingly hard and every day for reasons for his own, to whatever end. Their course was set. Chloe would be turning around now. The only time he'd take for himself was a short visit mornings. He even taken this big roan. He heard the curry come and talk with the horse. He thought he could interview that horse where it moves. If Noah boy know a lot better, Chloe thought it would take only a few days to log a point he needed. He soon found out it wasn't going to be that easy. The junipers grow only here on the mountain. He wished he could see the jack pines of its straight young fairs, but he knew why the old man wanted junipers. They'd never know it. They'd never right. They had to wrangle the hillside along the farm, hundreds of feet up to the slope, to find his trees. If anything, the work was harder to get in. The pulse holes, the soul was heavy and noisy. The his also was ringing. He burned his thumb on the exhaust and cut his feel in hand, sharpening the chain. After he felled a juniper, he had a top of the 7-foot length. Trim it and drag down the hillside. Ditch heavy post ovens snagged in the oak brush, and brought him the tumble down, even though he had only 57 posts cut. He knew he had pillow and hillside for a while. He tried to go post he had, placing the rock bottom at each hole, and the old man had suggested quite the posts. He kept his eye on a tractor up the field, and the old man drove around cutting his hay. Walter would need his help in a few days to dug the bales onto the trailer and stack them in the burn. Chloe stood at the 57th post. As the sun was set in the next day, the last day of June, the post reached less than halfway in the ditch bank. He wanted to go back to the hillside. The next day, he cut more posts until he had all he needed, but he knew he lost. He could go back to the fence line after haying, but it wouldn't be the same. He wanted to get through before he sang he lost. Now there would be too much fence after haying. The would be hot and endless. There would be time left for him to go to the mountains. He'd been fooling himself about the mountains so long. The old man would never let him go away. The sun was down. Everything was going fast. Exhausted, Chloe were in his last post. He felt chilled 1 minute, burning up to the next. He feared he might have leather for the ticks in the oak brush. When he looked down at him in the fence post, he sneaked senseless. What he'd done the day before he received a lesson to his sister. And he didn't even know he said he could read a few words, but that was all. He was embarrassed. And to read after him, he wanted in Mesa. All he wanted to do was to go home. Looking across the field in the gray farmhouse and trees, he would wonder if the hay made for him think he could belong here. Walter was in the house, making a simple supper for Clyde. He'd been planning it all week, and Thanksgiving-style dinner with turkey, all the extras. He had been taking all day off, preparing the meal, but he hadn't been able to talk to Clyde out of working in the fence line. Then Clyde finally came in, later than usual. He had even not their old man. Walter could see how gloomy he was. Clyde shoved his plate away after picking the turkey. Walter never ate, but much began away from mountains for leftovers. Much began to put the mountains. Walter saw his recliner. Clyde collapsed with the side of the sofa. Clyde glanced at his mining gazette, but decided to decide that something was terribly wrong. As he had again as a boy, something that was he could say, "Maybe you should try the new track. Tell me about a water bet you got yesterday." He suggested awkwardly. "What did you hear for home?" All about the confusion washing over him, he felt angry at the old man. He didn't know why. He thought about letter in his pocket. What should he say? "It's my letter," he said finally. "It's none of your business." Walter felt sorry he had chosen the letter he tried to talk about. "I didn't mean to pry." Chloe, He apologized. I didn't know what's in the letter, Clay shouted, standing up. I can't read it. I don't know how. Are you satisfied? He felt it lay the old man's eyes on him, running forward. The old man reached his teaching touch old Clay's hand. The dark fiend stood at the touch. I'm so sorry. Clay, he whispered, I had no idea when we ready for you. Where's the letter? Clay wanted to hear the letter, but he hated his weakness. He'd been suddenly out of an open. Now the old man would think that he was stupid. Why? I could maybe help in the evenings. What was saying? I could sure read you a few mining papers. I don't want your help, Blake said. He had to get away. In his confusion, he bumped into the table and spilled the old man's coffee all over the morning mining newspapers. He had to get to this room and be by himself. Leave me alone, he shouted at Walter as he ran the stairs. Leave me alone. Chapter 8. In the morning, Clay was surprised to find Walter acting as if nothing was happened, time to buff the ales out of the field and up to the barn. The old man said cheerfully. Clay didn't respond how much things he could be saying between them again. He kept his eye on the plate and said nothing. After breakfast, he braved pickups, phoned horse trailers, and drove into the farm. Two of the trucks were loaded heavily in saddles, camping equipment. The third carried at least a dozen barking hound dogs. 6 men in police orange vests got out of the trucks as an old man laid and looked down the river to meet have the old man expecting him. Chloe wondered he hadn't talked about anyone coming. The leader, very dull for ensuring himself, discerning the front of the rest, made small talk with the old man. Chloe walked first behind the tractor into the shop, but the tall man took off his cowboy hat and revealing a head full of the wavy red hair. The mind was blowing in Chloe's direction. Carried her words to him. Two talked easily about Walter's new beard, his peaches. Apparently, they were good friends. The other standing about began the fidget. Clay saw they were strangers. One of them asked, the Texas asked him, does the wind always blow like this in Colorado? Clay saw a tall, red-haired man turned his shoulder and went to his Walter. Question like that you oughta ask Walter here. Heck, I was just a kid even through the whole country. What about it this wind? Walter, I think I'll get it up. The old man took out his cap. It's been known to blow, that's for certain. Just working up this morning. Myself like to keep track by the lane. A change of host. If it stands out trait, that's the breeze. When it gets whipping around, wings snap off, look out. It's likely to get windy by sundown. Walter tutted straight-faced when he finished, and he held his breath, and his ears turned red. Everyone was laughing. The old man's cheeks were all puffed out. Finally, he blew the air out of his nose. His head bobbing. He stroked the light whiskers on his chin. Yes, sir, it can blow, not that it does very often. Clay was amazed how it easily got the old man going on with these people, laughing with them and having a good time. He hadn't met some of this before. Who were these people? Still laughing, the man turned to their Puritans. I can't pronounce. Chloe came out of its shed and watched them unload the horses. After they parked the trucks, unload the horses that parked their trucks, drove out of the way, put their horses shouting and trucking back and forth. Walter came over to Chloe and said the tall man, his old friend. Walter was all excited. Like the only really important Rusty, the best outfitter in San Juan. There's another character named Rusty. He said the best outdoor man I ever saw, and Martin likely he scared off the bear. The red-haired man beckoned to Walter for beside the coal pile. Where he was rigging the horses, the old man went to him and he went to his house, turning into salt and pepper shakers for the kitchen table. Suddenly, Clay realized that his man had his own man permission to hunt, land he already given to him when they got her bears. With no warning, the old man was bringing the red-haired man over. Got someone I'd like to meet, Rusty. He said to his friend, his, this here is Clyde. For an instant, before he looked away, Clyde saw the bear hunter's eyes. The man thought he was meaning Clyde. It was a joke. The tall man struck his giant hand and had his raspy voice. Glad to meet you. Clyde, is it? Never heard of a name like that before. Walter had never tried to shake his hand with Clyde. Clyde hated shaking hands, but he had no choice but to offer his now. The red-haired man didn't just take his hand, he crushed it. He didn't have to do that. Clyde thought it hurted really bad. Clyde tried not to let his face hurt his hand. He wasn't nothing at all. What is it? Even that brought in mind was really The old man was standing by the tractor, waiting, but Cloy walked down the riverbank instead. A few minutes later, he heard the tractor's motor fire. The old man was going to go ahead without him. Let him try. Cloy thought it is hay, not mine. Along the riverbank, he saw several magpies and many other raven, and they reminded him of the canyons, home, and his sister. He grew powerfully homesick. He brought the Bearstone in his pocket and tried to make him wish he could go home, but the steam only reminded him where he was. That the red-haired man was going to do in the sun, and the bear warned us. He felt like a bear was man after it. He could feel the horse would be chased by barking dogs, and the horses he could awful certainly the bear would be run down, cornered, and killed. Maybe it would be mother's bear, and the one he sent the cub. The only his fault. He decided bitterly, given his permission. If he killed the bear, the old man would not have to pay. The old man never cared about his me. He thought these were his real friends. The bear did not die. They killed the different bear. The vulture decided to bring in the hay all by himself. Something was wrong with Clyde. He knew, but he shouldn't have walked him off. There he was needed, but most he wouldn't show his boy water when was jumping. He bucked his Bill in his life, jumping on his back of a tractor. He pitched Bill after one for the trailer, like he was a young man again. His face was blush bright red. His breathing came out wilder and wilder, but he wouldn't quit. He brought it louder to the barn, heavy and grunting and dragging the bears into place. He worked until his hay was in his heart burst. Whichever came first, he didn't care which. He worked all morning and never came in the meal. He worked all through the long afternoon, through the dusk, into the darkness, until the last bell was up in the barn. When he walked silently into the house, neglecting to take off his boots or into the house, kept tracking dirt in the white parlor rug. He disappeared into his room, trailing bits of hay, and Walter was exhausted. He went out of his bed and soiled up all his boots to his wife. Maudie, he said, I'm an old fool. I just don't know what he's gonna do with this boy. And I'm sure I wish you were to help me. Something got into him. I don't know what, but he was just doing so good. We'll just hang on and see what happens. And the house felt silent. Clay went to his room, packing in his duffel bag. The old man would get rid of him now.
Tomorrow he back to the eagle wing. That would be right. He didn't care about anyone.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna do part 3 tomorrow, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.